Hello, I'm Sarah King from Kantar, and I am delighted today to be talking to Lynne Biggar from Visa. Hello, Lynne. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So let's start with the impacts of COVID, because clearly the pandemic has changed a lot of things that are directly relevant to your category, whether that's the readiness to use cash or the decades progress in e-commerce in 1 year that we keep hearing about. And in the wider context, we know from all of our work that it's made the role of business overall more evident to our audiences. So I have a couple of related questions to that. And the first of those is, what do you believe is the role of a payment brand like yours in the post-COVID world?
I would say we'll continue to do what we've done prior to COVID and during COVID, which is to ensure that our global network connects the world, and that enables individuals, businesses, and economies not only to survive and then obviously post-COVID recover, but also to thrive. So what our network does is power commerce globally. And as we all have been dealing with our own transitions in this COVID world, at Visa, we've been enabling this incredible transformation that's happened with individuals and how they want to actually transact commerce and pay, and then also how sellers and others were needing to adapt to the environment that they suddenly found themselves in. So on the consumer side, as you mentioned, we've seen just a remarkable transition to e-commerce. Decades of evolution has just been narrowed down into a few months. And I think it's important to remember that in some markets around the world, particularly more developing markets, e-commerce was not as robust and not as common as we all might think of it in some of the places where we live. So one of the roles we had, for example, in some markets in Latin America, is just helping to educate consumers who were now at home how to buy things online, how to execute digital transactions, how to use their Visa and feel comfortable and safe in doing so, just so they could get the basic goods that they needed in order to continue to carry on. When it came to physical locations, so when individuals were going out to buy food or necessary items, they didn't want to touch things. We all, if we remember back to that world, we were all very uncertain. So we saw contactless or cashless transactions increase dramatically. And so a lot of enabling of just, the basics to keep commerce going and make it more comfortable for consumers to continue to do what they needed to do. For small businesses, very early in the pandemic, it was, very clear that we needed to support small business owners around the world. Less than half of all small businesses at the beginning of the pandemic had any online transaction capability. They were just, physical stores, and as the stores shut, they needed to. So we just very quickly sprung into action and spun up a lot of activities that would help support small businesses. We introduced a range of locally designed programs and solutions that would help them build an e-commerce presence. And then we wrapped all around that. We wrapped in a lot of markets around the world, dozens and dozens, an advertising campaign targeted towards consumers about the fact that where you shop matters, that now is the time to support your local business. It really matters to them. We made the small business owners the heroes. We even got our Olympic Team Visa athletes involved, and I think it have really made a difference to the ecosystem. And then lastly, for economies and for governments, we worked with governments to provide emergency disbursement funds to millions of people in North America and Latin America through prepaid solutions. So to answer that question, we just sprung into action to continue to do the things we always do, which is connecting the world so that we can all move forward.
So were there any really big, that's an intensification of what you already do and the role that you already fulfill. Were there any big developments or changes in your thinking or practice as a company, whether it's around your strategy or the role of brands and marketing?
And I would say one thing that has become very true is that even seemingly unchangeable consumer patterns have changed. And consumers have been willing to make new choices and switch away from old choices in ways that we haven't seen before, that, necessity is the mother of invention, as they say to some extent. But the decision-making has also been, at a lot of times, very emotionally driven, in addition to some rational decision-making. And coming with that is a sense not only of personal safety, but also as a sense of purpose, right? And consumers, I think, are increasingly looking to drive broader change through the decisions they make about who they do business with. It's not just about the product and the consumer experience, but it's also what they stand for behind the scenes. And 3/4 say that their purchase decisions are influenced by how the brand operates in terms of their social positions on things. So that's actually, I think, become something for us that's led to us being much more conscious about elevating our brand and marketing messages to clearly communicate not just what we do, but why we do it.
Right. So I know that you've been thinking a lot about brand purpose in the sense of brands as agents of change. How do you see that benefiting the business as well as meeting the consumer's values?
Well, I think at Visa, we sit in a very fortunate place, and we don't take this for granted any day. None of the 21,000 employees of Visa do, which is that just inherently in the business that we're in, the business of commerce, we can do well by doing good. And it's based on, again, as I said, what we do, but also our belief that economies that include everyone, everywhere can uplift everyone, everywhere. It's the foundation of how we think about the products and solutions that we offer out in the marketplace. It defines how we focus on security and the speed that's built in our technology. You don't think twice when you transact with Visa, nor does a merchant or a seller think twice when they receive something from Visa, that it's going to work, that it's going to be reliable, that it'll be secure and safe. And it also defines the actions as one of the most trusted brands in the world. Yeah. But to get there, you have to walk the talk. You have to walk it internally with your employees, and you have to walk it externally with your actions. And if you're not authentic, it's something that certainly gets noticed. So the good news, I think, for all of us and many folks who are watching this is there's evidence now that that purpose can really drive differentiated outcomes, that purpose-led brands and companies can see higher growth rates, higher market share. And that's always good news too, right? That inherently we just need to do the right thing, but it's nice to do the right thing and also not only get rewarded for the outcomes that we can drive on in certain populations and in certain areas, but for our shareholders as well, who are
that's certainly
in all of this.
Certainly what Brand Z shows us. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Great. Well, Lynne, thank you so much for talking to us. It's been really, really good to hear from you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the time.